I'm here today with my friend Joe. Joe is a longtime friend of the family. He lives just about a mile from us, but his situation for growing is completely opposite from mine. I grow in the ground, and as you can see, we're on top of a hill in Joe's yard, so he's growing all in containers. So Joe's got some really interesting cages and setups here, and I want him to tell us about them. For instance, Joe, you made all these cages, didn't you?
Made all these cages from a roll of 50 foot of wire, and they're 4-foot wire. Get them at Costco or whatever, Home Depot or whatever. And then you go ahead and what I did this year is I made 3 different sizes, 5 foot, 5.5 foot, and 6 foot. So the circumference is different on each one. So instead of having 3 cages to store, I'll have one inside the other, and there'll be one cage with 3 of them in there.
Very, very smart.
So that's quite a bit of savings of space.
Yes.
They're going to go under the deck or in the garage or wherever you might want to keep them.
Okay. How long did it take you to make these?
They probably take between 20 minutes and a half hour a piece.
That's it?
Yeah. And then also with them, I went ahead and, as I told you earlier, we put in a hand opening here. So you cut out the different areas, about 3 or 4 of these, so you have a wider space. So when your tomatoes are growing, you can come in and get the lower ones, and then you can come in and you can get the higher ones.
I love that.
Of course, this way. And I'm experimenting all over the place this year with these cages. So this year I decided to paint one red and the other one leave one natural and some yellow.
Okay. So what kind of paint did you use?
Just regular spray paint, just your Rust-Oleum paint
Really?
they have at the store. A little hog wild. It's a little out of my budget, but I figured I'd try it.
Well, and it looks really, really pretty.
Yeah.
So you spent 20 minutes creating these cages. How long did you spend with paint?
Oh, the paint's only about a 10-15 minute thing for each
So
one. But you need a big area because it goes all over the place. The spray paint doesn't, they're wire, so it's not really cost effective.
But fun and so
colorful. But it's fun.
But so in 30 minutes you've got these great cages to support your plants.
Yeah.
You didn't spend $30 each on them.
No, I think it was about $45 for a 50-foot roll.
Can't
Do
beat
the
that.
math, figure 5.5 foot for each one.
Right.
So you get about 9 cages out of it.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Now,
So,
I see you've got these slats of wood in here. Tell me about those.
well, this is an experiment. This is to go ahead, and since the pot is like 2 feet, I don't have to go all the way to the floor. I can get the height. I can gain the 2 feet by putting these stakes in. So this is this year's experiment. All this, the risers and that, and like this one is inside with no stakes, so I'm going to try that. And then this one is also inside with these type of stakes that I'll tie off eventually as the plant gets larger.
You're going to have to definitely keep me posted on what works well and what doesn't so that we can tell everybody about this.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, now I also see you've got some very cool labels in your plants. Tell us about your labels.
Well, the labels, this is funny. These labels I liked because these are like little 99-cent store. If I can just grab part of the fencing that I've been cutting, this is kind of neat. You get an 18-inch, which would be this long, of this type of material, and I just cut them. Yeah, I just cut them like that, and there I have that, and I can put this on the front, and then on the back, Laura, I showed you, you can put the date, when I transplanted them, and some of them I have the growing period, like 90 days or 80 days or whatever.
I think that's great information.
And some of them I have the soil on. But I have all that stuff written down in the file too. So
this is impressive.
But
Faux picket fence.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'm going to have to steal this idea from you. This is a good one. Okay. All right. Yeah, we don't want to get confused and mix up your plants any more than the dog already did for you.
But they're easy to read, and you put a lot of information on them.
Right.
So.
I like that. Now tell me, because you're growing right here on your deck.
Right.
Okay, and it's a beautiful deck. You obviously don't want to ruin it.
Right.
But you've got water and you're fertilizing and everything's flowing through these great smart pots.
Right.
So what's underneath them?
Well, what I've done is I had some leftover material from some siding from down below. And I went ahead and I made these little 4-foot section by 2-foot sections. And I put them on little risers, about 1.5 inches material, and screwed them in and then drilled holes every so often for drainage. And there's 3 risers that go across to support the weight to keep it off the deck and keep the deck from getting dry rotted and all that. I'll probably have a little bit of water damage at the end of the season, but a little bit of sanding and paint and it'll be fine. But I won't be ruining the wood.
No.
So, and it gives them more air and everything else from underneath the pots too. So.
You are a really creative gardener.
Oh.
I love this. You haven't, spent your entire gardening budget on stuff. You've created your own. You've got these great supports for the plants, and you're experimenting, and it seems to me you're having an awful lot of fun doing this.
It is fun.
How long have you been growing tomatoes?
Well, not really well for a long time, but I've been doing it 20, 25 years, and just the one where you go down and get the 1 tomato plant or 2 tomato plants and just throw them in a pot and say, God, they didn't do good. Or they did great this year or whatever. You got to keep my dog from eating the soil. Lady,
I think
the soil's not for you. Thank you.
I think that's probably your biggest challenge.
Yes, keep
Do you
the
have,
lady out.
okay, do you have any other challenges here? I wanted to ask you what's going on. Do you have any problems? Your plants look beautiful right now. They look really happy, and they're not giving in to this horrible heat we're dealing with today.
At first, when I first got them all transplanted, I had some disease happening with the leaves, and the leaves were getting yellow and brown and were getting eaten up and stuff. And so I went out and I got a organic solution, and made up my own from a concentrate, and sprayed them on a regular basis for about 3 weeks straight, once a week. And it seemed to be doing, I'm keeping an eye on it, and I don't want to spray more than I have to.
Exactly. That's something really important that I wanted to point out. Joe didn't start spraying until he had a problem. He did it repeatedly on 1 week intervals until the problem went away, and then he stopped. You don't want to just spray indiscriminately. You want to wait until there's actually some reason to be doing it.
Yeah. These are all from seed too. That's the main.
That's really impressive.
I got 4 store-bought or 5 store-bought, and the rest of all my plantings are from seed from inside.
I'm really impressed with your garden. You're doing a super job. Now, I do want to ask you, what made you change from just kind of haphazardly buying a tomato plant and sticking it in the ground and hoping for the best?
Oh, get a big plug here, Laura.
Okay, I had to do this.
Your husband, Greg, and I have been friends for years. And you started your classes, and Greg told me about them, and I said, well, I'd be interested in coming by. So a couple of years ago, I came to one of your classes and got all this great information. I thought, well, I should try it the right way now. So thank you, and I passed on a lot of your tips to my friends. I got 2 or 3 friends that are now growing plants this year, from 1 plant or 2 plants last year that I gave them, to several plants. I went out to lunch with an old high school buddy of mine, and he's got like 5 of my plants I gave him last week, and he's all excited.
So you're carrying on the tradition.
We're getting tomato mania going.
Oh yes, we are. Well, I am thrilled. I'm thrilled that you love doing it and that you listen to my advice, and,
yes.
and it actually is working.
Yep,
that's really
seems
fabulous.
to be.
I know it works in my garden, but I like knowing it works in somebody else. So Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to show us your tomato garden. It's really unique and really, really successful, I'm happy to say. I want to see what happens further on in the season and enjoy some of your harvest. I'll trade tomatoes with you.
We'll trade.
Okay. If you'd like to have your tomato garden featured, just send me an email, laura@laurataylorAtHome.com, and maybe we'll be able to feature you on Tomato Roadshow. Thanks for watching.